when Ferguson left, and obviously handed over to Moyes, who obviously, he was a big part in that selection process, if not, the part. Fergie made a big point of basically stayed away from Old Trafford for the first. I can't remember exactly how long, but it felt like it maybe a couple of months or so. But he kept his distance because he knew that there were going to be people taking pictures of him, and if he looked annoyed during games, then that would be the picture of he just didn't want that to be that guy that was kind of like seen as hanging around in the background and sort of kept his distance. Now I'm torn about this because I kind of think if you've done what Fergie's done, you're entitled to ticket for life, etc., etc. But I've seen a little bit of maybe I shouldn't go by social media, but I've seen people sort of saying like, is his presence helping, or is it a good thing that he seems to be taking I don't know. I mean, it felt to me like the image that I remember of Man United 0 Liverpool 5 was the moment the TV cameras turned on Fergie, and he's got a face like thunder, and then it goes to Kenny Dalglish, who's laughing, and that's not Fergie's fault in a way, but it kind of like, I don't know. It's a strange dynamic because I think Fergie was definitely marginalised. I think one of Ed Woodward's things when he came in was that he wanted to reduce Fergie's input, which obviously was quite a big and brave thing to do. I don't think Van Gaal and Mourinho would turn to Fergie very often. Maybe now Fergie's got his kind of like younger, the guy he brought through in the team. He feels that he needs to be more involved. I don't know. I just don't know where is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing, or is it just something that isn't even an issue?
Well, Fergie was always scheduled to be at the training ground on Monday, so people have read into that wrongly.
Yeah,
he would have been there if United had won 10-0, which obviously they were a long way from even drawing. When he left in 12, he said, "You're not going to be seeing me again," and he wanted to avoid the situation of Busby. And I'd spoke to Franco Farrell about this. Very bright man, came from Leicester City, felt completely undermined because senior players would play golf with Busby. Busby had an office inside Old Trafford, and I believe O'Farrell's version. But
Fergie's still got his office, hasn't he? I think,
but he only uses it for after games to entertain guests.
Yeah,
Busby had a proper office where he was there in the week. Fergie's office is in Wilmslow.
Right.
So Fergie vanished. Some players did go and see him in the Moyes season. That I don't want to see you. They'd turn up at his house. They'd drive around there. Now, we can't turn him away, can he?
Yeah.
And then he didn't go back to Carrington until Mourinho, not Van Gaal.
Yeah.
I think Van Gaal was pretty, respectful from a distance. It was Mourinho who said, "Come back." And after one game, Fergie asked for a lift on the coach, and Mourinho was like, "What? You're at the front." And he could afford to do that because he didn't feel a threat, maybe like Van Gaal had felt. You're right about his view being marginalised to the point that it shouldn't have been, because if you've got that brain there, why not use it?
Yeah.
And Ole speaks to him, and why wouldn't you if you were Ole? And he's entitled, Fergie, to his private opinions, and we've seen some of them with the, start your best players, for example. You saw the reaction, what you're talking about there, from Sunday. But isn't that a natural reaction when United are getting hammered? And I'm from Dalglish as well.
He just got to his seat as well, hadn't he? He'd kind of taken a little bit more time at half time, comes out, and he's just making his way to his seat, and the fifth goes in. So he sort of sat down going, not solely at the goal, but also the timing of it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that he's alive, that he still goes to games. He could easily be sat there at home moaning, but he does go to matches. I'm sure privately he's got he's got his views, but I love the fact that he rings the club up and asks for the Old Trafford Lego and says he's prepared to pay for it. Stuff like that. He's not embittered. I think I'm sure he feels pulled apart by what's happened at the club since he left. And I don't think his counsel was taken enough in the early days, because, as you said, Ed wanted to be his own man, make their own decisions. Well, it's not just him; it's David Gill as well. So this smooth departure where everyone moves on, I'm not sure it was quite as smooth as, because there's huge egos involved here.
I agree. I do agree with all that. I suppose basically when Fergie's playing a part in bringing Ronaldo back, it's kind of, I don't know. It seems like in the last sort of 6 weeks or so, it's like Fergie's kind of just come back to prominence in a way. It's like, he's influencing Ronaldo coming back. I don't know. It's just I'm torn, as I say, because I think if you've done what Fergie's done, you're entitled to do pretty much whatever you like. It just feels almost a bit like, I don't know, Solskjaer. I mean, people are sort of taking Mickey out of Ole and talking about he's not picking the team and it's Ronaldo and all this sort of stuff. We know that's all nonsense. It's just, I can see why people are looking at Fergie and thinking, is he taking more of a role again? Or what role? Or maybe I'll rephrase that. What role should he take?
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? Because clearly his involvement is because of who is the manager right now with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is welcoming of Ferguson massively. Speaks to him after games in his office. He said that publicly. Refers to him as the gaffer still, which I think all players that played under him do. That had a bond with him do. The only issue with that, I suppose, is that from a playing point of view, if you've got a manager in place who then refers to somebody else as a far superior and is kind of deferential to him, does that slightly erode the authority that Solskjaer has in his own way with those players? That's an interesting dynamic. I know that players have got, the kind of brands now, aren't they? And they're not slow to sort of point blame at situations if they're not going well. But I do wonder about that kind of the power of that with players, if there's a manager there that is kind of so deferential to this guy that is, clearly the greatest manager, in my opinion, Britain's ever had, the world's ever had, because of the way that he was able to just hone in on people's psychologies, motivate people. And I think, yeah, as you say, you've got to tap into a brain like that. That experience is phenomenal. He's still sharp, and he's still got opinions. Obviously, you could see with that leaked Instagram, not leaked, the kind of video that was posted with the UFC fighter Khabib. He's not shy about giving his opinion in that situation, and I'm sure that he has those opinions privately with other people as well. But yeah, it's just something that I think is just always going to be a delicate balance. I mean, for example, he was. United used him, and I think this is a good thing to do, used him to try and get Jude Bellingham to the club when he came for a tour with his family of Carrington. Now, the amount of which Fergie saw him, I think is perhaps something that could have been managed a bit better. I think it was kind of a quick thing rather than a lengthy thing. But still, I think that's a good thing that you can tap into a guy like that. And I know that Jude Bellingham is of a generation perhaps that doesn't remember Ferguson in all his glory, but equally, I think any player coming to United, knowing that Ferguson's there and being able to just have a conversation with him would be persuaded, would be an appealing aspect to the club.